On to the third quarter. Aqib Talib and Chris Harris, the cornerbacks for the Denver Broncos, deemed their secondary a no-fly zone. Brady, are they going to have to change that nickname after Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown sliced them up?
I don't know. I don't think so. I just think they're going up against arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL. Antonio Brown's giving people fits all season long, and Chris Harris admitted it after the game. He just had a bad game. I don't think they got maybe as much pressure as they would have liked to on Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, and you look at the Denver Broncos defense, I think they've got possibly two of the best tandem corners in the NFL right now. But going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, you've got to have three solid defensive backs to match up with Antonio Brown, Martavius Bryant, and Marcus Wheaton. I mean, those are three pretty solid targets, arguably the best in the NFL on the offensive side of the football. So I don't think they need to change their name. They just got to continue to keep finding ways to getting pressure on the quarterback more often, because that's really what's made their job effective. When you get pressure on the quarterback, and Bart knows this best, those defensive backs don't have to cover quite as long. They can come up, make interceptions, and make plays. And that's kind of been the difference over the past few weeks, where I think their secondary struggled a little bit compared to that number one defense that we saw kind of coming out of the gates in this NFL season.
Well, what happens is now they have a huge sample size. Listen, Ben Roethlisberger and that offense and Todd Haley has done this to everybody. Did it to the Legion of Boom, put over 500 yards of offense up. You know, DeAngelo Williams has created balance. But what happens is sometimes when you're a premier player, you don't want help. You look at it as an insult. You know, you don't realize and underestimate just how good that tandem is. I think if they were to face them again, it would maybe come out a little differently. They'll perform a lot better because now they've seen it. Now you understand that, hey, we have to help against this guy. We have to bracket this guy. You think about some of the teams that are familiar with the Steelers who have success in spurts, the Baltimore Ravens and sometimes the Cincinnati Bengals. You think about the first game with the Cincinnati Bengals and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, what was the difference? They see them a lot, so they understand what they do well, and they understand their route tree and what routes they're comfortable with and what they're not comfortable with. I think the Denver Broncos underestimated just the talent that was on that side. And Ben Roethlisberger is an elite quarterback. He's seen it all. He's been through it all. He's a guy that can stand in the pocket and deliver the ball. It doesn't matter how many times you hit him. You know, he just gets stronger as the game progresses. And I think really what really is going to hurt the Pittsburgh Steelers in the long haul is, you know, their inefficiency to stop the pass as well.
You know, I will say this. I was pleased to see the comments by Chris Harris after the game in comparison to Josh Norman and Odell Beckham Jr., two of the, you know, top, I guess, cornerbacks and wide receivers going at it. You know, you look at the one example with Norman and Odell Beckham Jr., and they're having fights, throwing, you know, fist punches at one another left and right. And then you have Chris Harris and Antonio Brown going at it all game long. Antonio Brown got the better of the matchup. Chris Harris respectfully says, yeah, I got beat today. He was better than me today. That's what you'd like to see out of the NFL when you have these sorts of matchups.
Absolutely. Chris Harris.
All right, let's go on to